Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random book reviews from the Overflow Room Annex, the library, the book annex. This is going to have, when I put this stuff away, endless quantities of books all about music. Music, classical and otherwise, actually. And in today's series, we are devoted to one author, and one author alone, the great Donald Frances Tovey. His essays in musical analysis. This is the original redback edition, and it is absolutely falling apart. It's going to pieces, which is just terrible. The chamber music supplementary volume, you can see the pages are they're yellowed, and here's a piece of it. They just did not put these things together very carefully. But Tovey was an amazing, amazing writer on music. He was an English, educator, conductor, composer, critic, and he was the conductor of the Reed Orchestra in Edinburgh for most of his career. And the essays in musical analysis are the program notes he wrote for the various concerts that were given under his direction. He was, by all accounts, interpretively something of a cold fish, he was limited in what he could perform, but he managed to get through most of the basic repertoire, plus a lot of interesting stuff from his own day. His style was witty, analytical, opinionated. He was something of a eugenicist, which is kind of creepy, actually. Racist, without a doubt, I think, if you read between the lines of some of his discussions of some pieces. But for all that, he was a man of his time. Most of these essays were written in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, up until that point. He died when, I guess, in the 60s, I think, sometime, or the 50s. And they are still a standard for what program note writing should be and for discussion of the works in question. They're absolutely brilliant. And the reason Tovey was such a wonderful writer on music is because he always focused on musical facts. Whatever his aesthetic opinion was, his position was that a writer of program notes, his job was that of counsel for the defense. Even if he doesn't like the piece, he will try to defend it as best he possibly can. Let me see if I can give you an example, just to give you a sense of it. That's really kind of fun. In these essays, as he revised them, he let himself be a little bit more opinionated, let's just say. But one of the things that he said. That was criticism that was labeled against him was that he was always a bit too, he had an excessive reverence for the great classics, for Haydn, Mozart, Beethoven. And he did. He really did. He believed that they were the be-all and end-all, and that, as a result of that, he had no real interest in other kinds of music and other means of expression as equally legitimate. And that is a failing. It was a failing, let's face it. But I think, let me see if I can find the examples I was thinking of. This is the supplementary essay. These books, by the way, there's 6 of them. You've got Symphonies 1 and 2, Concertos, Illustrative Music, which is symphonic poems and program music, vocal music, and a supplementary essays, glossary and index, and chamber works as a supplemental volume. That's what he did. But let me see. Oh, here we go. Tchaikovsky's Fifth Symphony. Let's see, page 58. This is fun, where he talks about the famous non-happening finale of Tchaikovsky. Okay. It cannot be too often pointed out that the duty of the writer of program notes is that of counsel for the defense. Whatever the discerning critic may find to say against a composition, the program writer has no business to say anything that interferes with the listener's enjoyment of the music. That's a nice, healthy attitude, isn't it? But he may be guided by times and seasons. When the work is so new and strange that responsible opinions may differ as to its strong and weak points, the analyst is justified in taking the strongest defensive line, limited only by carefully avoiding any attack upon music of other tendencies. So, anyway, let's see what we have here. But he does say that now that my analyses have been collected in book form, the limitations of a counsel for the defense become manifest. So he starts with, he gets a little bit more, okay, let's see. It gets a little bit more like free to be critical. All right. So, right. Here we go. I have said that the Pathétique, the pathetic symphony, they call it, anglicizing, the pathetic symphony of Tchaikovsky, that its slow finale is a stroke of genius that solves all the artistic problems that have proved most baffling to symphonic writers since Beethoven, unquote. That statement has shocked some people, almost as much as if I had said that it was the greatest finale since Beethoven. But the problems I refer to are simply the problems of getting up any sense of movement in a finale at all. And I am afraid that my locus classicus for impotence in that matter is the finale of Tchaikovsky's Fifth Symphony. If the composer had intended to produce the nightmare sensation or the Alice and Red Queen sensation of running faster and faster while remaining rooted to the spot, he might have been said to have achieved his aim here. But the melancholy fact remains that this finale resembles all other compositions in which the vitally necessary problem of movement has simply not occurred to the composer at all. I have been generously praised for my defense of Bruckner, whose popularity, now at bestseller height in Germany and Austria, has not yet begun in England. And that being so, nobody has objected to my saying frankly that you must not expect Bruckner to make a finale go. But the popular Tchaikovsky is in worse case than Bruckner, for he evidently expects his finales to go. And neither the native listener nor the still more naive highbrow can at this time of day be helped by an analysis that leaves it to him to discover the fact that Tchaikovsky's finale wants to go and cannot. That's counsel for the defense for you, huh? I mean, and of course, the irony is that Tchaikovsky's Fifth is enormously popular and people love it, including the finale. But these essays are fun to read just for that reason, because they make you think. They make you think about musical issues. The musical issue of movement in finales is an issue. It's an issue in romantic music generally. He's absolutely right about that. But the real question is whether it matters. Do we have to compare this to the great classics that move, or do the romantics have other virtues? Virtues that trump the necessity to move the way Haydn or Mozart or Beethoven would have in one of their finales. That's the issue, of course, that Tovey will not address because of his reverence for the classics. And that's his failing. But these essays are such a joy to read, and you will learn so much about music, about everything about music, how to listen to it, what composers are doing, what some of the extraordinary strokes of genius are in the musical masterpieces. These red books, this initial series is no longer exists, unfortunately. Oxford University Press did take most of the stuff, not all of it, but most of the stuff in these 6 volumes, and condense it into some affordable paperback editions on the symphonies and concert music and concertos and things. There are like 3 or 4 of those that contain most of the stuff that was in here, and so they're worth having, and they're worth having a look at. But the essays in musical analysis are landmarks in English language literature on music appreciation, music criticism, and program note writing, and we will never cease to learn from them. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.